Angels, it's Hailey Reese, and I hope that you guys are having an absolutely fantastic morning, afternoon, night, whatever it is for you when today's video finally reaches you. You guys, today's video is one that I am so excited to share with you guys, mostly because I really can't wait to hear what you guys think of this. Basically, in summary, without getting too far into it right away, today we're going to be diving into an entity, a little girl entity more specifically, that goes by the name of Little Molly and appears to you in your dreams. I'm so curious to know if any of you have encountered Little Molly, but most of all, I'm so excited to share this story with you guys that if you ever do encounter Little Molly in your dreams, you know to try to force yourself to wake the heck up. Trust me. But before we get into today's video, I would just very quickly like to thank today's video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. With Skillshare, you can explore new skills, develop existing interests, and get lost in creativity. I've been really loving a class by Greg Micchio, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, called Simple Productivity: How to Accomplish More with Less. If you're unsure of what's to come next, creative challenges and productivity classes can be an amazing way to help structure your time and set up achievable goals. Drawing, journaling, and writing classes can be a great way to de-stress and also be a way to practice mindfulness and help you to feel connected to one another. So whether you're looking to just fend off boredom or to practice self-care through creativity, or even to just join a similarly creative community, Skillshare is the place for you to just continue learning and expanding. Here's where it gets really exciting. Skillshare is giving away 2 free months of a premium membership to the first 1,000 people who click the link down in my description, and then after those 2 months, it's around $10 a month. So make sure you guys click the link down in the description and be one of the first 1,000 people. I promise you will absolutely not regret it. And once again, thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I super appreciate it. But with all of that being said, let's dive into a much darker subject, and that is the entity Little Molly. Now I'm gonna read you guys what was sent to me, and then I'm gonna tell you guys my thoughts on this because my brain was working overtime after reading this, and it just left me feeling very eerie. But if at any point throughout this video any of this resonates with you, please drop a comment down below and let me know. Or if there's other entities that you've encountered in your dreams or while sleeping, let me know that down below as well. But without further ado, let's get into what I was sent. So the title of the email was, "If you dream of Little Molly, wake up, a serious warning." Dear Hailey, I've never written this story down before. In fact, the only person I've ever truly told is my husband. I'm well aware of how crazy this will sound, and I kindly ask you to keep my name anonymous. Dealing with this has been torture enough. The last thing I need is to be ridiculed too. I should start by saying that I'm from a small city and I have no kids. My husband and I have tried, and unfortunately I've suffered from loss after loss. It's been one of the hardest things I've went through, and I've learned to internalize it. It's something that at times has caused me to feel less of a woman. My husband is a lawyer and I'm a therapist. Both of our jobs can be time consuming, so a few years ago I started to accept that maybe having a family just wasn't in the cards for us. I instead opted for a couple of dogs. My job is something that is very important to me. I take my job seriously and find great joy in being a part of people leading healthier and happier lives. From the moment I started working as a licensed therapist, I felt I had stepped into my calling. I truly loved my job until one day everything would take a very interesting turn. It was a day like any other day. I had a patient of mine coming in at around 2 o'clock. She'd been coming to see me for around a year, and we were truly turning a positive corner. For confidentiality reasons and legal reasons alike, I will not be saying her name or any specific details about her sessions with me. Just this one aspect that I feel can save somebody if they ever see the signs of this coming. Like I said, it was a regular day and nothing was amiss. She came in and we talked as we usually did. Before the final 15 minutes of our session, she asked me if she could talk to me about something, to ask my professional opinion. Of course, I told her she could talk about anything and everything with me. And that's when she began to explain that in the previous week, leading up to this appointment, she'd started having very strange dreams. She said that they started with a little girl specifically, a little girl who would meet her in an open field with a big smile. She said she felt like she should know this girl, and the two locked eyes. She explained she didn't know how long this went on for, as she was never somebody who dreamt much before this, and she didn't have any perception of dream time. Eventually, she said that she asked the little girl her name, and right away the little girl said her name was Little Molly. More specifically, Little Molly kept repeating how she liked her, as in, I'm Little Molly and I like you. She said in each dream the details on Little Molly became more and more clear, as if it was almost like she was becoming more, if that made sense. She said she couldn't understand why, after a lifetime of never really dreaming, was she seeing this little girl so often. By now, our time was running out, and I truly didn't know what to say. There were so many reasons and possibilities she could be dreaming of a child, so I encouraged her to take note of the details that were coming up around her and to see if there was any relation to her within them. I also encouraged her to evaluate how these dreams were making her feel. I even more specifically told her to write her dreams down and bring a dream notebook with her to next week's session. She agreed, and that was the end of our time. That night when I went home, I poured myself a glass of wine, and I couldn't help but think about how creepy the name Little Molly sounded. I've always quite liked the name Molly, but there was something about the combination of little with it that didn't sit right with me. But soon after that, I forgot, and before I knew it, it was time for yet another therapy session with said patient. I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and she didn't show. This was very unlike her. In all the time we'd spent together, she'd never no-showed a session. Concerned, I reached out, with no response. Later that evening, I finally heard from her. Sorry, not feeling well this week. We'll see you next week, is what the text read. I found it odd, but I wrote her to feel better. In the coming weeks, she would cancel on me twice more. Eventually, she would show to her session, though, and right away, I knew something was very wrong with her. She looked pale. She was tired. There were bags under her eyes, and she just didn't seem herself. Immediately after asking if she was okay, I realized that she hadn't brought the dream journal. When I asked her about it, she immediately got jumpy. She began to explain that the reason she looked the way she did was because she couldn't sleep. She couldn't sleep because she refused to see Little Molly anymore. She started to tell me that Little Molly wasn't actually a dream, at least not the regular kind, that she was an entity invading her dream, and that she believed it was a demon using her dreams to get to her. I started to grow very concerned for her mental health. I was worried. You see, I'm not trained in demons, but I am trained to look for warning signs, and this seemed to me like a massive warning sign. I tried to talk her through it, tried to get to the root of it and help where I could, but she insisted. The more she saw Little Molly, the more darkness crept into her real life. She said a little girl's laughter filled her house, scratches appeared on her body, and shadows all throughout her room when she would awaken from the dream. Even her daughter complained of a little girl being in the house, which led her to believe she wasn't going crazy. Like I said earlier, I felt this was something serious going on within her. That wasn't until the end of our session. Before concluding our session, she looked at me deeply, and I will never forget what she said. You know, she said, Little Molly even talks about you to me, saying I shouldn't ask your advice on her because hard as you've tried, you couldn't even have a Little Molly of your own. I was in shock. I never talked about my personal life during therapy sessions. That crossed a line. Every session was about my patients. This was something she couldn't have known. I felt nauseous, but told her to continue logging her dreams and that I'd see her in the coming weeks. I didn't know what to say. I did the best I professionally could, but I left the session feeling very weary. How could she have known that? Why would she have said that? What was happening? In the coming weeks, she would decide to no longer come to therapy. It concerned me, but there was nothing I could do. I wish I could say that's where the story ends, but one night this all became very real to me. It was a normal night for me. After a glass of wine, I headed to bed, and my husband said he would be up shortly. I put on my favorite show, fell asleep, and suddenly I was dreaming in an open field. In the distance, I could see a little girl coming towards me with a big smile, and I immediately knew. Now, something I've told my patients in the past is if they're dreaming a traumatic dream, try to force your brain to wake up. I don't know why, but I felt this was exactly what I needed to do. Slowly, I started to force myself to wake up as Little Molly's eyes go black and she screams, "Don't you dare." I woke up with 3 scratch marks across my chest, a horrible feeling in my stomach, and my dogs growling and barking ferociously. at something in the room. I never saw her again, but it was enough to help me believe that what my patient had seen just might have been real. I'm sharing this story to hopefully warn others. If you see little Molly in your dream, please wake up. I think by waking up, I must not have given her the power over me she needed. I don't know, but it did work for me. That's my story. As unbelievable as it is and as crazy as it sounds. If you read it, thank you. If you share this, thank you. I don't know who little Molly is, but I know for a fact you never want to stay in a dream with her. Consider this your warning. Sincerely, and I'm gonna leave the name anonymous. What? Like, when I read this, you guys, I reread it about 3 times. I read it to Mama Reese, I read it to Tyler, like I read it to pretty much everybody, and I was like, what in the heck do you think of this? That just left me feeling so unsettled. I have no idea what or who or like what in the world little Molly could be, but one thing that I've been thinking about a lot ever since reading this is that perhaps the reason that she only saw little Molly once was because little Molly had power in the dreams from what her patient was saying. So perhaps because she possessed the ability to wake up from her dreams, little Molly like moved on or didn't care to pursue her, but still marked her and was in the room because of the dogs growling. But I don't know for certain, so I'm very, very curious to know what you guys think of this story. And have you ever seen little Molly, or have you seen an entity in your dreams? One thing that I know is, if you guys watch my video way back, I used to have reoccurring nightmares of this entity, this man, and my mom tried to teach me the same thing, to learn to wake up from my dreams. And I remember at one point I was telling this entity, like, this is just a dream, I'm gonna wake up. And he was taunting me back saying, no, it's not a dream and you're not gonna wake up. And just comparing that to the fact that she was able to wake up, but it seemed as though that really made little Molly angry, and she scratched her with 3 claws, like 3 scratches, just really doesn't sit well with me. So I want to know all of your guys' theories down below, any experiences you guys have had, and just what you thought of this as a whole. With that being said, I want to remind you guys, especially in a time like this, light will always overcome darkness. Pull light around you, envision yourself in a white light, and believe in the power of light and goodness. And I promise you that in the end, no matter how trying it can be to get there, good and light will always win. Once again, I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Like I said, you guys, the first 1,000 who click the link down in my description will receive a 2-month premium membership for free, and then going forward it'll only be around $10 a month. So I would definitely suggest it, especially if you're looking to get creative or for something to do. Make sure you guys do that. And that is it for today's video. If you guys are new to my channel, or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, I would so appreciate it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button and join the Reese's Pieces. We would love nothing more than to have you. And also, please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you.